Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Shadecast. My name is Keegan, one half of Love 2 Gamers, and hanging out with me today is David. How you doing, David?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. We're about almost literally about a week if you bought the Gold or the Ultimate Edition from the Division launch, and I'm super pumped to get this thing up and running. This has been something I've been thinking about for a while. As you know, I'm excited for Division 2. We both put a few hours into the beta. I think I put almost 30 or 40 into between both betas at the time. But those of you who don't know what the Shadecast is, welcome to the Shadecast, your place to go for Division news, impressions, strats, and discussions. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/level2gaming. That's LEVELTWOGAMING. I don't know how I figured out how to spell that without really screwing it up too much. For more videos, there's going to be other stuff there too, along with some other games, like Overwatch is a big one we cover on the channel. But what we're going to cover today in today's podcast, they announced the first gear set for Division 2 a few days ago, so the Patriot gear set, we're going to go over that. We're going to go over our impressions for the beta. You only played the open one, right?
I played the private one.
You played the private one too. I couldn't remember. We played both then.
Yep.
Bertrand didn't play the open one because he was touring. Right. And then we're going to talk about the biggest changes that we've seen so far with just our experiences in the beta between Division 1 and 2. We're going to talk about the Division 2 roadmap that Ubisoft has released, our thoughts on it, and then we're going to talk about what we want to see out of Division 2 going forward, and that's going to be our show for the day. So without further ado, let's get started with the Patriot gear set, and we got a video for you guys to watch that goes a little bit over what that is, so check that out. Hello, Internet, and welcome back to another Division 2 video. And today, we're going to talk about the newest gear set announced for Division 2. It's actually a GameSpot exclusive. I've got the link to the full article down below. I highly recommend you check it out. But if you're familiar with the first Division, you know in that game, they released gear sets later on, which were basically you could stack up to 3, 4, 5, or 6 different gear items and get different perks. For me, personally, I ran the Fire Crest, which let my fire turret do 50% more range and last 50% longer. So they're just endgame things to make you a little bit stronger as you go along. So in Division 2, it looks like we're going to have 3 types of gear sets, or 3 types of brand sets, or whatever you want to call them. The first one is kind of your basic gear, the normal perks you get at low level as you go up. There's then what's called brand sets, which it looks like from playing the beta, there's up to 3 items you can collect and mix and match. They give you different perks like skill percentage, cooldown reduction, that kind of stuff. And then there's the gear sets that they're bringing back. And the first gear set I want to take a look at is the True Patriot gear set. The True Patriot has red, white, and blue perks. Every enemy you damage over a certain amount gets a debuff. The first one gets red, the second one gets white, and the third one gets blue. The red debuff decreases damage dealt by the target, while the white restores armor per bullet to players that shoot the target, and blue debuff grants the amount of skill haste when hit. There's then what's called Full Flag. Shooting an enemy with all 3 colors of debuffs will also damage other nearby enemies with all 3 colors on them. Ubisoft hasn't given much details on these gear sets. We don't know if they're going to be endgame, if they're going to level up as you go along. My guess, based on Division 1, is they will be endgame content that you'll have in a kind of a way to increase your power as you go along. I know in Division 1, for me, one of the big drawbacks to keep me playing was trying to find those gear sets at the end, trying to get that last piece you needed, or maybe playing with some friends to increase your chances of getting that. I remember when I got my last piece of Fire Crest and I was running the Underground, I felt like a king, a god. I felt like I couldn't be touched. The Division 2 is coming to PC, PS4, and Xbox One on March 15th. So what do you think? Do you like this new gear set? Will you wear it? What gear sets or what perks do you want to see on gear from Ubisoft? Do you want them to bring any of them back from the first Division game and bring it in the second one? If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want more Division 2 content, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit that little bell for notifications. We also will be live streaming the launch week on twitch.tv/level2gamersstl, so follow us on there, as well as guides, tips, news, and everything else you want to see about the Division on here. We are also launching a Division 2 focused podcast called Shadecast, which will be up on your favorite podcast services here shortly, and also on youtube.com/level2gaming. That's LEVELTWOGAMING. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Keegan with Level 2 Gamers, and as always, welcome to the second level. Bye! True Patriot. First gear set, it's a support one. As you guys saw, the red is the kind of the there's 3 tiers to the buffs or debuffs it gives you. When you shoot somebody, you put a red marker on them. It causes an enemy to be impacted to do less damage to you. So it's a damage reduction. The white grants extra armor for any allies that hit that enemy, which is really cool. And similarly, the blue debuff speeds up your skill refresh for hitting enemies with the debuff. Once you have all 3 going at the same time, you can hit any enemy and you'll get all the effects. So what do you think of this? This is one thing I think endgame for gear sets is something we grinded on a lot. I know we ran through trying to get the perfect match. I said in the video that I ran with Firecrest and I think Nomad in the first one, but what's your thoughts on this gear set specifically? Do you think you'll use it?
I don't know. It didn't. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it didn't
it's
excite
definitely
you?
No. I like the theming of it though. How it's like it's Patriot and it has the color scheme that blue matches. Yeah,
in our nation's
capital.
I thought
that was kind of cool. But I don't know. I'm more of a I need to see how it works in.
And you tend to not do support ones, I don't think. Like when because you ran, what'd you run in Division 1? You ran Nomad and you ran, what was the other set you have? Do you remember? I know you ran Nomad because I know you would instantly come back up if you died.
Yes. Yes, definitely. It was basically damage, like anything that gave me more, like it was like a double ammo build.
Gotcha. So you had more damage and survivability.
Yeah.
Versus
basically, I was hard to take down and did a lot.
could hit people hard.
Output. Yes.
Because this reminds me of something like maybe like a healer would use, or somebody who I could see James Tigrado Power running this because he loves that kind of support role of like I'm going to stand back, I'm going to do my thing, and I think this is going to work really good with the sniper. Because do you think about marking enemies with the sniper? You can mark specific guys and say, hey, I'm marking this guy on the left here. You guys can go after him. He's got this. I'm real curious to see how it kind of marks them, per se. What the delineation is of the red, white, and blues. Is it just a little hit point thing above their head? How does that all work out? I'm actually really curious about how visually it's going to show up and whether the player who marks them has to tell you or if everybody on the team can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like I'm going to do an Overwatch reference here, but like Overwatch, when Zenyatta discords somebody, it shows up for all players, but obviously if the Zenyatta says it, you then know for sure. It kind of like look this way.
I kind of assumed it worked like Pulse, but in a Pulse-like type of tagging, but maybe it's different. I do like how the different colors do different things. Mm-hmm. Like the reds, the decreased damage dealt by the target, and then the white is restoring armor. It's interesting how the healing is different. Mm-hmm. That's definitely
everything's armor based in this one versus the first one. There wasn't really armor on you. I don't think you had armor actually. The enemies did. You didn't. And then they have like I can't remember what they call it. I think it's called the full flag where you have all 3 going on. I like that. Mm-hmm. And I also wonder how hard it is to trigger. Like, is this one of those things like you hit the first one, it's red, second one's white, third one's blue, or how does it?
Right. Like, do you have to have like a certain multiplier?
Mm-hmm. Is there time span or something? I'm sure these are things that I'm sure are going to be answered as the game launches. But this is the first gear set that they have officially shown off. They unofficially, I don't know if you saw during one of their developer streams, accidentally shown off a gear set, but it was just placeholder text. There wasn't any information on what it actually did. So I think you could tell by the devs' looks on the faces that they were like, "Oops, we didn't mean to show that." But there's no information there. So, but yeah, I'm kind of like you. I'm lukewarm on this. I think it's cool. I just don't think I would run it because it doesn't fit my build style. I'm a lot like you, and I go in and I go in guns blazing and hope to God somebody saves my ass. That's how I tend to play the game. And I'm also skill based too. So anything the one that was skill cooldown is cool, but I'm sure there's going to be better ones for skill cooldown.
Yeah, I think definitely a lot of that was you and I running in by ourselves a lot too,
which is why we die a lot.
Yes, but also I ran Nomad, so I could pop back up, and I don't know. I think we built our guys around like if we had to do stuff by ourselves, how, and then we had another build for when we were working together too.
And that's really cool. One of the things that we're going to get into at some point is the loadouts, and the fact that loadouts came. We played Division literally since like the first Division since day one. Loadouts came later on. I didn't really get into them just because I had played the game without them for so long that I just like to swap my gear. I'm actually thinking I'll use loadouts this time. Be like, okay, I want the true Patriot loadout with this skill, this gun, and I think I'll do more of that as long as inventory is not an issue, which it kind of was in the first game.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the same thing. Managing your equipment that slowed the game down big time.
Yes,
because it was always one of us would have to, and still I felt like that happened in this beta too, where it was like, okay, I got new stuff.
As you're leveling up, it happens more and more. I think once you hit endgame, it's not as bad.
That's where I think the loadouts will really shine, because then you'll have already your specific go-to equipment that you can already create a loadout for, that you already know works, and then just swap back and forth for whatever situation you're in. And that, I think, is going to be really cool.
I looked at it in the beta. I can't remember exactly. I want to say you can have up to either 5 or 6 loadouts total. You can have inventory space. You can have up to 150 slots of inventory space. I don't know if that's 150 for inventory and then 150 for stash, but I know they said you have 150 slots for inventory. I'm assuming that's got to be stash, because I think your person can only have probably 100, if not less. They're part of the perks and all that to be able to get more inventory space. Or if you buy the Ultimate, I think the Gold Edition gets it as well. You automatically get the 50 at endgame. They give you just 50 inventory slots that you would normally have to grind through gameplay to get. So, but let's talk about the big meat here. Let's talk about our impressions of the beta. Like I said, we both played Division 1. We literally played it launch night. We all were waiting for that. We bought it all digitally, waiting for the countdown to end and go. We got in before everything crashed. We actually didn't have to wait in that line that other people did. It was actually quite fun looking the next day and just seeing like the line that people. I was like, oh, that wasn't a thing I had to do. But let's talk about what's your initial impressions of the beta overall. Did you like it? Do you think you're gonna hop into hundreds of hours of Division 2? What's your initial impression?
I mean, so I got to play it post patch, which I think it was the final patch of the private beta for that weekend. So I didn't get to experience hardly any technical difficulties towards the end, which I definitely appreciated, especially coming from Division, which had tons of technical difficulties. Yes. So that was definitely something that was a pleasant surprise. The gameplay style, it was nice to kind of be able to come home again, in a sense.
It's still the Division. It's still the same gameplay, which is awesome.
Yeah, but with I like the improvements. It seemed like even progression through how it used to be. You had to upgrade your base to upgrade your equipment. And it's still kind of like that. But I like the idea of you can customize more. You don't have to go certain paths.
You don't have to go get 100 medical supplies to unlock the thing. You know, like which one I want.
Exactly. You can customize from there, which I think makes more sense. And and the settlement edition is interesting. I'd like to know, in the grand scheme of things, how those play into the world more. Like, what does that do for you? Because it seems like it's a secondary Boo.
Boo is base of operations, by the way. That's our short term for base of operations.
But not so.
It doesn't have everything. It's there, but it doesn't have everything in it.
Right.
Like you can't.
We had to run
your skill. Yeah, your skills are back in the base operations. Your crafting's back in the base operations. But you had your side missions. You could sell stuff. You could matchmake there. There's something else you could do there too. Oh, you have the projects that you could fulfill. And like you said, in the private, it only let you do I think one level of it, which was unlock the crafting lady, and I think there was 5 total. For that one. For the theater, which is the one in there. I'm curious to see how many of those there are. Like, does each zone have its own? Because in the both betas, there was only the one in the north. There wasn't one in the south section. But if you look at the map where it cut off, technically the whole south section that we were in wasn't available to play.
Right.
So I wonder if it was behind that wall or something. So I wonder if because you also have safe houses. Because to me, like, you have safe houses, you have the base of operations, which is the White House, which we're going to talk about that in a second because I love that. And then we have the settlements, and I feel like the settlements are kind of taking over the old safe houses. So why did you keep the safe houses to a certain extent?
Right.
Like, I feel like they couldn't figure out which one they wanted to do.
Like, the settlements seem like safe houses on steroids, but maybe they're going to be more, it seems like maybe the Impressionists, they're more build that, like, in the first one you would just liberate that area. Maybe these settlements help rehabilitate the area. Like, the more you do, maybe kind of like how you unlock the bases. It'd be a really interesting aspect of it if, you know, you upgrade a part of the theater settlement and then you see something drastically change in that area as far as the environment.
I was like, because at the theater, when you unlock, because I unlocked the, I don't know if they called it a game station, game room, whatever it was, the gaming area, and you see these kids now playing games, which they did in Division 1 in the base of operations. I feel like the settlement is like in between. It's a hybrid of the base of operations and the safe houses. Like you said, it's like a safe house on steroids or a stripped down base of operations, depending on how you look at it. So I'm real curious. I do like the fact that because I think for me personally, the fact that they took away those health missions, those security missions and all that, I liked those for the side quests. So I feel like they just needed some way to do that, and I think that's what the base or the settlements are, to bring those side quests back in, to be able to do those and kind of show you different gear. And like you said, I wonder if like you upgrade all the way, if there's something that happens, whether that's the environment changes or you get some sort of perk for that area or whatever that happens. Because I know in Division 1, when you finished everything in a map area, you saw all the intel, and we both know there's intel in this game that we're gonna fight for and try and find it all. So I'm curious to see how they're going to handle that. I did like the progression of it, of like you could see the checklist of what you needed to do, so you weren't confused on what you needed to do, and you saw the rewards for it, so you knew what you were getting with it. So like the projects, you'd go in and it's like, oh, I want to get the flash hider. Okay, I need to do these 3 things. Okay, we need a public execution. Let's go do the public execution. And I really, really liked that all of us had the same stuff. It wasn't randomized. Yeah. So if you're playing with a group, you can all do the same things together and finish stuff off. So I was a huge fan of that side of it. Did you play? You played a little bit of Dark Zone. I didn't play much Dark Zone just because I'm not a huge fan of PvP.
I actually didn't. I didn't get to play any Dark Zone.
Do you play? No, you play majority by yourself, right?
Well, in the private one, yeah. It was basically, well, I wouldn't say the majority. I did the first mission, and then, you know, on the live stream, you can see the rest that we did. Yeah. But, yeah, that basically I just did enough to get to it. Because the issue I had is my working hours. Every time I got home,
it would be maintenance.
They would take it down for patching. So in the private one, I didn't get to play as much as I wanted to. And then in the open one, thankfully, I got to play on Sunday.
Yeah, we got to stream it.
Sunday was pretty much the only day I got to do it.
Gotcha. So my impressions of the Dark Zone is it's still the Dark Zone. There's still it's still PvP. The one time I went in there, I got stomped because I suck at PvP. I do like that they have the 3 different ones. I'm curious to see kind of how they all interact, because the only one they had in the beta was Dark Zone East, which is the kind of like the hybrid one, is what they're calling it. Essentially, it's between the long sights and the short sights. It's more open. It's a lot like Dark Zone in the first division. But I'm curious to see I didn't explore it enough to see the PvE events. We did the monuments, all that kind of stuff, and unlocked it, and that was fun. But again, I don't like getting my ass shot when I'm doing that. I'm, as you know, a way more PvE fan. So I think the people who like the Dark Zone in the first division are going to like the Dark Zone again. I think some of the changes that they've made to the game overall will make the game a little bit better. Like the fact that you don't have to extract to get everything out of the Dark Zone, but you have to extract if it's really nice gear. There's contaminated gear is what they're calling it. Not everything's contaminated. So if you pick something up, you can check to see, and it tells you right away whether it's contaminated or not, whether you have to extract it. So
I saw just like in the other one, it had its contaminated slot of stuff.
Yeah, and it was fun. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to jump in on the final game, but I definitely wanted to play the PvE stuff way more than the PvP stuff, just because that's how I am.
It is interesting, I will say. Like, I'm seeing on here that they're listing the skirmish and domination
We didn't
modes.
play any
so,
of that.
like, control. Seems like it's like control and team deathmatch.
It is. Yep.
Could be pretty fun.
And what's really cool, because I was watching one of the dev streams about it, is the maps are not based in the game. Like, they're not the world taken and made into a map, but the maps are based off areas in the game, if that makes sense. But they tweak it to make it better for team deathmatch, for domination, or whatever.
That makes sense. Actually, it's a much smarter, I think, way of doing it than they did last time.
Yeah.
Which was just block that area off.
Yeah, because they're like, we want you to feel like you're in the city still, because you're still in the city, but we knew when you're doing different game modes, you need to slightly change. And one thing I found really interesting watching their live stream is they have a PvE team and a PvP team. So
that's cool. I'm
excited to see what that means for the future.
I wonder how much they collaborate on stuff too, though. Like, because there's an element of both in some of those.
Yeah, well, specifically the Dark Zone, you definitely have both.
Oh yeah.
What'd you think of the skills? Because the skills that came back from last game were the pulse and the turret. I think were the only two from the original game. The pulse wasn't in the beta. The turret was, and they had two variants. They had the assault, which is just a machine gun, and then they had the sniper, which is a long range one, which my experiences was broken. It would shoot through walls. So. And then they had the Chem Launcher, and Secret Mine was also in the first one as well. In the Secret Mine.
Yeah.
But what did you run? What did you think of it? Do you think you're going to run that in the final game, or are you going to try to experiment with the new ones, so on and so forth?
So I pretty much ran turret and assault drone, or actually healing drone.
Dude, the healing drone was OP. It was wonderful. I think we all ran that.
Yeah, it's a must-have, especially for starting out. I feel like, and going into those hard, you're going to level up once you finish areas. I liked a lot what they brought with the Chem Launcher, and I like how they all have variety to the extent of like
they have 4 different slots, I think, for each.
Yeah, you can have the sniper turret if you don't have a sniper in your party, or what I did was when I ran it by myself, I threw that turret, the assault turret, in the middle, and I love the idea that you can now just hit R1 to aim on your target. Man, I would just throw it in and then just clear out the room with the turret and then just catch anybody who was running, with my own gun, and that
I think
running by yourself was necessary.
Two of the biggest changes they've made in the Division 2 when it comes to like quality of life is, like you said, the ability to aim your skills at somebody. Whether that for you is the assault turret or with the drone, you can put your drone on somebody else and you can call it back. So like if you see somebody's low, we don't have the shooting healing anymore. You can't do that. And like we were playing with Blue, and he was like, I'm out of armor packs. I was like, let me send my drone to you. And then I think the other thing is the fact that, as dumb as this is, the restock, you don't have to wait in line to restock anymore. That's a small thing, but in the scope of it, like it's funny because we all noticed it. We're like, oh, you don't have to wait your turn. It's just there.
Yeah.
I think the first few times I still waited just out of habit. Like, oh, wait. But yeah, I ran the healing drone because, like you said, I think it's a must-have for anybody that's doing anything in that game because you will get messed up real quick. I think is potentially later game, it may not matter as much if you run with the squads. Like you'll have somebody who does healing, you'll have somebody who does damage. You can like get your specializations. But
yeah, we
didn't know who you're really going to play with every time. And like you said, you want to be able to run by yourself, and that's getting back to what you said before about loadouts. You could have I'm running solo loadout versus this is me and my team loadout, which makes me happy. But I did play with the Chem Launcher a little bit. It reminded me a lot of the Sticky Bomb with a few variants here. And it was more, because Sticky Bomb to me in the first game was more just, obviously it was a big explosion at the beginning. It was the burst, there's a group, shoot it, go. I use the Chem Launcher in two ways. One, as an aggressor. So, like, I would say, hey, wait, let me shoot this in so we can get them all and then shoot it and it'll go up and explode. Or there was one, was it I think it was the third story mission we were on, and we just kept getting overrun, and I kept throwing, I was like, hey, I'm going to shoot this right in front of us, so if they charge us, we can stop them.
Yeah.
And like,
that was great.
I loved that, because it's like, it went from an offensive weapon to a defensive weapon, or survivability weapon, and then that's when I went like, oh, this is what this is used for, and this is a way to use it. And I like that because it made me change the way I played slightly, because I played way more defensive. I was looking around, be like, who's coming up? Versus I tend to run a gun, like I said. So I'm excited to see that. The Hive is the other skill I'm excited to see. I'm actually going to read the description, because that wasn't in the closed or in either of the betas. So the Hive, while primarily a defensive tool, the offensive version is called the Wasp Hive, where small drones are launched to cause devastating effects to each target within an area. Gotcha. So that's all they tell you. So
it's like a swarm, I guess. It's really what they want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like a swarm of drones. One thing I do want to mention about the Chem Launcher before we kind of move on to it was the other one, the other aspect of it, the Riot Foam. Mm-hmm. That was actually a pretty cool one, too, defensively, because that just would stick them to their position as they came in.
See, I never used it. I thought about it.
Without the flame. Like, actually, in that situation, it probably would have been the better way to go, because we were already burning the place down, because that would have just stopped them, so we could have just killed them in place. But either one really worked well, which was nice, is that you have your offensive, defensive, and your defensive.
And I feel like it's going to be like in Division 1, where you go in and you have your skill that you use. Like, if you stay with turret, you're like, okay, I have the turret, but I'm going to unlock probably all the variants of that turret based on the situation. And again, loadouts. If you could imagine having just like a loadout that's like, okay, I want a sniper turret instead of my other turret. If it's a push of a button to switch loadouts or something quicker than just trying to swap stuff, I'm all for that. But I don't think they have those in the beta.
Yeah, I kind of feel like our loadout utilization will be more like, oh, so and so's not here, so
we need to cover
let's use this loadout, right?
Need to cover that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about the kind of getting back to, again, impressions of Division 2 beta. The base of operations is the White House. Did you explore much in it, around it, like while you were there?
I didn't have too much time with that, because my main goal was just to catch up so we could play.
I gave David a set of instructions, and James in Blue, and said, "Hey, hit this point for when we stream," because I wanted to stream the final story mission to make sure we had time to do that. So you kind of ran through the first part.
Yeah, although I will say that playing it by myself in the beginning definitely gave me a different flavor than just jumping in with friends right at the get-go. And it was appreciated to kind of get that story and a little bit of that tutorial. So I do recommend, starting by yourself at least. I mean, the game kind of forces you to as well, but you can, I guess, queue in with friends. But you're going to miss a lot if you don't kind of go in by yourself and get a feel of why you're there and what the story is.
And it pops up the tutorial stuff really, really quick. So it's like, it's literally just a pop-up menu of like, and I feel like you have to sit there and read, and when you're playing with a friend, like,
you don't want to do...
I'd never been done. I was like, let's go. And you're like, well, hold on, I gotta finish reading this.
Yeah.
So.
And it goes back to that feeling of, I'm not ready, I have to, swap up.
And I feel like that's similar to Division 1. Like, we played it all together at launch, but I also think we learned... I played some by myself, and I'm sure you played some by yourself. I know you did, but you learn these things as you go along. There's like, oh, did you know about this and that? And I feel like this might be a similar thing, but for story, it's funny because I feel like a lot of the people we played with didn't care about the story in Division 1, and I loved the story in Division 1. And they're like, how do you know what's going on? I'm like, well, I've replayed these missions like 6 times, so eventually you're going to catch the story. So
that was the only like way that you could was because you had to play it 100 times and you finally knew what was going on. But yeah, otherwise you just would literally go, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I'm shooting people, but it does add a little bit more when you do know what's going on. So I'm really curious with this game, kind of, because this is 6 months after the original Division. You're obviously in Washington D.C. You're in a different area. The capital's falling. You have the I think there's 4 factions total in the game. You have the 3 at the beginning, and then you have the Black Tusks, who are the endgame one, which I'm excited to do that because they were tough as shit to fight against. But I don't know. I like the base operations. I thought it was really cool. I did wander around just to see the different views because it is the White House. And have you ever been to the White House?
Not.
Okay.
I've been to DC, but not inside the White House.
So I've
been outside the White
been
House.
to the White House. Obviously, it was in a little bit better state than what it is in the game. But you wander around, you see the press room, you see the Oval Office, and there's actually on the president's desk is a tape recorder, kind of with a little bit of story background, which I liked.
Yeah, I remember you showed us around a little bit, and I walked in, and that was really cool. Yeah, I like that they did that. I
want more and more like little things like that of this, like, oh, this is like we're going to get to it, but one of the expansions is the Pentagon. I hope they have something about the Pentagon in there, like with some cool backstory that's outside like the story missions, just like the intel, because that's where a lot of the story I think came from. Me and you actually had a race to collect all the intel. I don't know if you listened to all of them, but I definitely went back through and listened to them all in order because they organized it, and I was like, cool.
Some of them were pretty messed up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of them you're like, but think about what's going on, though, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
There's one. It's the end of the world, essentially. But what I really liked is there's areas that you could clearly tell were blocked off and not accessible, which added for expansion down the road. So that would be potentially roadmap when we get to that. Could be for those reasons. The other thing I liked that they're adding into this one that was not in Division 1 is the clan system. So the clan room was locked. It wasn't available during the beta, but I've read up a little bit on kind of what it can do. I've watched some videos on it. And it reminds me a lot of Destiny with you have goals you can hit, and then if you hit those goals, you get rewarded for it by getting better perks, better drops, whatever it may be, whatever they offer you at the time. So I'm excited because I'm somebody who plays a lot with friends, and I have a lot of friends that play this game or will be playing this game. So I'm stoked because like I love the clan system and getting rewarded for playing with friends anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm
that was cool.
And they have a special vendor in there. I saw during when we were playing, there's a special vendor in there. You can't get to him because he's blocked off. But I'm really curious to what he's going to carry. And whether you have to be a certain level or whatever.
See, if they do stuff like that, that will be really nice addition to, help motivate doing stuff in groups, which is good.
Yeah. Because the game, you can play the game by yourself for the most part until you get endgame, but then...
Yeah.
But you're going to want to play with friends at some point.
Yeah. It's just more fun in general to,
And you also have more things covered. So, like, again, James said he's going to play probably a lot of healing. Cool. That way I don't have to heal myself all the time. So.
Yeah. And you don't rage out when you die and no one can revive you because
there's nobody
playing
else
by yourself.
You're like, come on.
Yeah, that's when it gets really rage-inducing.
Let's talk a little bit about the story missions. We had 3 of them, we had 2 of them in the private beta, 3 of them in the public beta. First story mission was Grand Washington something station, I think. Grand Washington something.
Was
Library?
it a hotel? I think there was a hotel.
Grand Washington Hotel. That's it. I was like, it's something. Yeah. Grand Washington something, because she said Grand Washington like 6 times. So that one felt a lot like I want to say it's the consulate in Division 1, where you're inside this building running through.
I was thinking the same exact thing. I was like, that had a lot of that feel of that.
Especially
let's
that
run through
first room.
Yeah, with the stairs. Mm-hmm. I think it's the stairs that really make it feel like that.
Stairs of video games.
We had to storm that consulate and go up those stairs. So it's kind of the same with that hotel.
Got a good vibe. Got the vibe with that. The second one, I'm trying to think what the second story mission was off the top of my head. I've played it like 3 or 4 times, but I can't remember what it was. But what's the name of it? Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. Look it up real quick. The third one was really cool. I only played it once, but it was the one in the production studio.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. I stopped and just looked around, and like you had camera sets and all that, and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool."
Yeah, Wasn't the production studio in the museum?
Yes, it was in a museum, and then the production studio, and just kind of looking around at the stuff. Does this tell me what? This doesn't tell me what. Well, oh, here we go. Nope, it just doesn't tell me which ones they are. It just says there's 3 of them. Thanks, game. Anyways, but the what I'm trying to get at is I feel like those 3 missions all felt the same but different, if that makes sense. Obviously, if you're inside of a building, it's going to feel the same. But I feel like the way you approach them was very differently. Like the production studio one, when you're in that big open area, like I felt like we had to stay on the high ground and not push down because you're going to get screwed over. Versus like, I feel like the first one, I pushed up a lot on it to get the high ground. So you're pushing into them and you're fighting back and forth that way. The first one also reminded me of the mall, the burning mall at the beginning. Like, I don't know, at the end I had that feeling, but I'm curious to see how many outdoor ones are going to be, because so far all the missions have been inside. Obviously, you're Washington, D.C. There's a lot of outdoor areas you can go. There's a Washington Monument somewhere you couldn't get to. So I'm real curious how they're gonna progress with that kind of stuff, and just like the variations, because you obviously have very different places you can go within DC that are iconic, and just say, let's do a mission here.
I mean, there's 3 Smithsonian buildings they could go through and have whole themes with, prehistoric and
I would love to go like
air and space
into the basement of like the Lincoln Monument, like you go into the base of the Lincoln Monument, like down into the basement, just some like hidden bunker or something. I feel like that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Like little things
especially
like that.
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking the Pentagon might be something heavy with that.
Yeah.
And the Outskirts expeditions, I wonder if that's going to deal more, like, if that's going to be more like woodland, like in the, kind of like Ghostlands kind of style where you're going through like forest expedition kind of. Yeah, because it'd be, interesting to see that.
I'm curious of that too.
Because the original one, New York and snow were so much a part of the environment. Like, you had snowstorms you had to deal with killed visibility, things like that. There's just going to be something different to that hopefully they'll bring by maybe sticking you in the woods at night, or, just
because you're in summer and it's obviously not going to snow. You might get. I wonder if there's going to be like rain effects or something. I mean, I know it does go night, because I saw the stars come out one time. I was like, ooh, it's dark. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit, since we're already on it, the roadmap for the Division 2. Okay. You're talking about Episode 1, the DC Outskirts expeditions. I am curious about that. Like, it's because the problem I think with Division 1 is New York City is very boring. It's very much a grid layout. It's very much all buildings, and it's like Central Park is slightly different, but the rumors were they're trying to expand to Central Park, and they just never did it. Never got it done. Which would have been one of the few green areas you could go in, versus like DC. Like, obviously downtown DC is covered with buildings because it's a city. But once you start getting a little further outside, and this is a 1-for-1 recreation of New York City, of Washington D.C. So I'm real curious. Even like where the White House was, like that lawn going, you could see the Washington Monument in the distance. Like, that's technically all green space that you use for different things. So I'm real curious about what the outskirts expeditions are, and kind of how they handle it to traveling to them, whether it's just in the game or if it's another loaded area that you have to go to, or how it works.
I feel like they kind of teased it at E3 when they started in the zoo, and you were like, what the fuck is this? Why is this? Where are we? And then it was like, oh, it's because they're in the zoo in there.
I forgot about that. That was that was their first trailer, I think. Yeah. God.
But it was like, it was something that you were just like, wait, this isn't snow, and this isn't New York. This is tropical looking, and what is, there's
what's going on?
Exotic animals. What is this? But yeah, then it was the zoo. But I'm hoping for a little more,
diversity.
I don't know, woodland, some Maryland, Virginia-ish, Pennsylvania kind of woodland
get some
style.
Get some Far Cry thrown in there.
Yeah.
Maybe have some hallucinogenic moose. But no, I agree with you on that. Like, again, New York, the Division 1 was fun. I think it was more fun for me just because I'm from New York and I'm familiar with New York City. I've had people that say they're from DC and they're excited about this game because it's DC. Like I get it. If you're from that place, you have a connection to it. But I'm real curious, like you said, that just from a gameplay perspective, diversity of mission types, and I completely forgot about that zoo area that they showed off where everything was like overgrown and coming back, and versus the downtown area that's kind of, hot garbage everywhere. I'm also curious with that whether the patrols will be lighter on the outskirts in DC versus in the city. Will it be more environmental stuff versus like patrol stuff from the factions?
That's kind of what I'm hoping. Like, I'm hoping they'll be, like, more strategic. Like, you'll have to hit, like, outposts and shit, but you also have to worry about maybe wildlife that might, come out of left field and,
the only wildlife I saw was
or...
a deer and a dog in this one so
Yeah.
far. You can still shoot dogs, by the way. Don't do it. Shoot deer and they make funny noises. I found that out the other day. James shot one. I was like, what the hell was that? And it was a deer squealing.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you shoot a deer, it makes a funny noise in the game. Don't shoot dogs, though. I got in trouble for doing that. The next one is probably the one I'm most excited about between the two that they've officially given a name to, is the Pentagon: The Last Castle. Because this definitely sounds like it's going to be a fight. Whenever I hear like Last Castle, I feel like I'm raiding something. And the raids, this is not the raid. They've talked about the raid coming out later on. It has a name already. I can't remember what it was. If I can look it up real quick here. It was called... It doesn't tell me on here. I want the name of the raid. I don't know. It's on here somewhere, but they have the raid that's coming that's not part of the episodes. It's going to come out a little bit after launch, but the Pentagon Last Castle just again reminds me of kind of like I'm storming the castle. I'm literally going in and trying to supplant and remove somebody from a stronghold, which I think is exciting because that means there's going to be a big-ass boss in there somewhere.
And probably some kick-ass gear that comes out of it because, it's got to be like the best stuff hiding in there, I'd imagine.
Do you think, here's a question for you, my brain popped in. Do you think these are end-game episodes, or do you think these are something you can do as you go along? Because it's releasing summer, fall, and winter. So basically every 3 months.
I would assume that this is endgame stuff.
That's what I was assuming too.
Because I would hope that they would think that by then you're through everything and looking for this content at that time, Otherwise, if you're holding off, why,
What? Yeah. Why are you getting this? Or why are you playing this? And then episode 3 has not been announced, but I would love to see something like at the airport. I think it'd be cool. I think you have to be careful with that just because of, the Call of Duty situation. And obviously 9/11, we're now in a post 9/11 era. You got to be careful with how you handle those situations. But I think it'd be cool to do something within the airport in Washington, D.C. just because it's a well-known airport. It's a fairly large airport. You could do a lot of things like in the underbelly of it to get around, whether it's riding carts or around the conveyor belts or whatever it may be, just exploring. I think it'd be fun. They also said in the year 1 pass with the episodes, you're going to get 3 new specializations. 2 questions that I'm going to pose to you. 1, do you think these specializations are going to release all at the same time, or do you think they're going to be one at a time? So start with that question. Do you think they're going to be released all at once or one at a time?
Like, you mean when the content drops?
Yeah,
are
so do you
they
think...
going to be like, you have all these...
Yeah, do you think when they're like, here's the new specializations, do you think they're going to be like, here's all the specializations? Or do you think it's going to do 1 per episode because there's 3 episodes, there's 3 specializations? Which way do you think they're going to handle it?
Ooh, I was kind of hoping that it would be kind of whatever your specialization that you earned would be kind of themed for what you did.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping like Outskirts will have a theme to it, and then you have the Pentagon have a
like
theme
maybe
to
you'd
it.
have some kick-ass ammo, like camo set, like sniper,
Have like heat
scouting,
or night vision.
Yeah, just some like kick-ass scouting stuff, like survival out in the woods kind of stuff, since that seems like that's what that would be geared for. Like that would be a really cool thing to like earn at the end of that, or during while you're doing that, and at the end you're just really good at whatever it is, that specialization.
And then I could see, like, for the Pentagon, it being something like, again, because I'm picturing trying to take down a fortified situation, have like demolition. I know there's already a demolitionist, but I'm talking like artillery or something with a big rocket launcher that will come in, and you've got maybe like, you could call in maybe a bombing or something like that. I don't know. I'm just trying to think on the fly of like something that you would use to break a stronghold. Maybe a battering ram. Maybe you can call in some battering rams. I don't know. That'd be an interesting melee weapon. I don't know if you might be able to. Might be able to do that. That'd be cool. And then the third one, we obviously don't know what the third episode is, but again, I hope it ties to that theme as well. They did say if you own the year one pass, you'll get these specializations as they unlock. So the specializations are endgame. They've come out and said that. But if you are endgame and you go in and you have the year one pass, you automatically get those unlocked. If you do not get the year one pass, you still get the content for free, but you have to grind to get it. And I wonder what that grind to get it is, whether that's a level grind, or is that a special mission, or is that a series of quests. I wonder what that would look like for somebody who isn't getting the year one pass, and whether getting the year one pass is worth it if you just want to get the specializations early. Like, is it a 30-minute thing, or is it a three hour thing to get those? So
right,
these are the questions I still have that'll be answered in about a week and a half when people start hitting endgame. But this is the kind of stuff I'm just like, huh.
Yeah, if you get any kind of anything beyond standard, you get the year one pass. So
you also get with year one pass, you also get 8 classified assignments, which sounds like kind of like side quests for each. That gives you just little things you can do here and there that are probably in addition to whatever their story is. So I'm excited about that. See what those are. My question there is, if I have the year one pass and you don't, can you still do that mission with me?
Probably not till I have access.
That's true. I wonder if those assignments are.
So that's something I guess you have to consider is like, are your friends getting it too? And think about that, because you're going to be by yourself if you're the only one doesn't pass.
Well, that's like we ran into that with the paid DLC last game. Like, I remember, I can't remember who. I want to say it was Brian. We were playing and we wanted to do Underground. He didn't have it.
It was Brian. And
we're like, oh, you got to buy it. And you got to go unlock. He's like, oh. And then there's like, how do you do the mission? I'm like, I don't know. I've already done it like 6 months ago.
Right, because you and I got the whole shebang. We got
the gold edition last time
at the get go,
which I don't regret one bit. At all. It's funny because it actually made me come back to the game because of the DLC, because I think Division 1 at launch
kind of redeemed it.
Yeah, was pretty meh, which is what makes me excited about this, because they getting into what we want. This is going last topic here, getting into what we want from Division 2. They kind of redeems, they kind of gone back and said, hey, what were people talking about in the first game that we did wrong? What did we screw up? And I think, kind of like you said earlier, the technical stuff, I think they fixed a lot of the little things that were buggy. I remember doing the incursions and having things literally glitch out where you could not finish. That's frustrating when the game's already hard enough as is. They started this game basically on the 1.8 patch, which was the big one that they did when they back in the day, that kind of said, here's our reset button, let's fix it. But I'm curious to see kind of how DLC works in this, because it is all free. But like you said, how does that affect who plays what? Like, if I get it, obviously somebody who doesn't have the pass has to wait. Do they have to do a story mission? Do they have to level up? How does that all function that way? So I'm excited about Division 2. It's very much still the Division. It feels the Division. It plays like the Division. It's a cover-based shooter at its core, with a lot of bullet sponges, and sometimes those bullet sponges are annoying. But at the same time, I feel like they took, like I said earlier, they took a lot of what the community gave feedback on and said, hey, the Dark Zone for a lot of people wasn't fun because you kept getting sniped in it. Now they're like, oh, let's do 3 different Dark Zones. One's sniper-based, One's like assault rifle close quarter based, and one's kind of a hybrid of the two. And they also did the I can't remember what they called it. It's not classified Dark Zone. They have one where the Dark Zone is... Oh, I can't think of the word right now. It's going to bug me. But they have one basically where the Dark Zone, all bets are off. Like, the skills don't balance, nothing like that. It's...
Oh, the free-for-all. Like a free-for-all kind of...
Yeah, it's how the Dark Zone was initially. Where it's like, your skills... This is a mid-max. If you're max, you're going to be best. It's kind of like in Destiny how they have Iron Banner. Where it's like, your stuff matters. Versus they normalized a lot of things. The biggest change I think they made that makes me excited about Division 2, and I don't know if you noticed it, but they normalized levels when you're playing with somebody. So, do you remember when we were like 2 or 3 levels apart, you felt like you were either going to die or you were destroying?
Yeah.
They did the ESO thing where they crunched those down, so the person that is lower level gets a bump up to the higher level power, but they only get the XP for their level. They don't get more XP because they're fighting higher.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that, and I kind of want to test it out with like a level 30 character and a level 1 just to see how powerful those basic weapons can get. That might be a video we do at some point just to, compare and contrast. But I was excited when they announced that because I know there's a bunch of people like we'd be like 3 to 5 levels off, and in a 30 level game, that's a huge difference. And I felt like you get destroyed or be destroyed. And then it's no fun for anybody.
And then we had people that once Division started catching on, like people were like, oh, this is good. Yeah. And then they wanted to play with us. And we were like, well, you got to like grind for 30 levels before you can play with us.
Got to get to endgame.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, is there anything in particular that you want out of the Division 2 that wasn't necessarily the Division 1 that you haven't seen yet? Or do you have any thoughts on kind of any...
I will say one thing that I kind of wish that they would find a way to give it more variety is the constant replaying. Like
the same things?
One thing I always had a problem with is like, okay, play that on hard. Like that was that was always been my kind of criticism of it is you're just going to do this in a much more difficult
they're just going to take more bullets to the face.
Mm-hmm. And I think it would be more interesting if they did that in a way where it wasn't just they're just stronger or they're just tougher, like add a new element that wasn't there, like maybe a truck comes flying through the wall at the last minute and it has a turret or something, something that just makes it a little bit more... Or
something that diverts your path. Say you're inside of your example, you have a truck come through, instead of going straight, it blocks your path. Now you got to go left and you're in a whole different section.
Like that would be exciting and interesting. And you're like, oh shit, the thing I've done 100 times now, I can't do it that way anymore. Now I have to think
Did you do any of the endgame content in the beta? Did you end up doing any of that?
Not in the private one, we didn't get to it, but in the other one, we did briefly, and I just was like, kind of still trying to catch up to you guys. Yeah. So it was one of those like, I'm doing stuff, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I didn't really get to experience it the way I would have liked.
Yeah, because that's similar to what you're talking about, but I still think that mission area was the exact same. It's just different. It's a different story because it's the Black Tusks versus the other faction. Because at that point, the Black Tusks had taken over. But obviously, you had different things you're fighting, like the robot dogs and all that kind of stuff. But I get what you're saying when it comes to like that mission was the exact same layout that I walked through that I'd already done at that point 4 times because I had to do it twice in each beta, and I just ran it with various different people at a different time, and then you do it again on the end game. You're like, I very much agree, and I hope that like having the different episodes will do that, where it's like, okay, this is now going to be a thing that's you didn't get to play before, because I think that's where Division 1, kind of like you're saying, screwed up. The DLC we played the most was the Underground, and the Underground was very similar, but it was procedurally generated to a certain extent. So like the rooms were all the same, it's just different layouts, which made it slightly different enough every time that I feel like I wasn't frustrated running in. Or being like, I've already done this. Do you have the feeling of like, I know this room, I know it's how to do? this. But
yeah, but we weren't like, okay, now we're gonna hit this corner
Yeah.
and then go around, and then 300 feet that way we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
It was more.
I'm gonna put
like,
my grenade right here because I know there's gonna be somebody spawning out that door.
yeah,
Things like that. Like, make it unpredictable, I guess, is the good way to say it. Just slight changes, even if it's like AI changes. Speaking of which, one of the things I think Division 2 did really well, again, over Division 1, is I felt like the AI, two things. AI was more sneaky when they rushed me. They didn't just bum rush me.
Yes.
What was it, the Watergate mission, where you just get bum rushed at the beginning of that? In Division 1, that sucked. They just shotgunners come chasing you down. But I felt like a lot of times they'd flank me, and I had to be aware of things that were going on down the sides of me. So I think the AI was a lot smarter in this game, and I enjoy it because it made it tougher at times until you figured out what was happening and what was going on. And I was very much a fan of that because I like being challenged.
Definitely could tell the personality of the faction. Like, what were they called? The Vandals? Or
no, the Hyenas.
Or the Hyenas.
Hyenas were the base one.
They were like those chargers were like scary, insane.
And they have some sort of chemical that gives them a shield, and I don't know what that is. I hope we find out.
Yeah, it was like, what the hell? Like, just that was unique enough to be like, what the hell is that? You know, and
I'm gonna see if I have I think they've listed all the factions here on their website, if I remember. So we played 3 factions technically. The Hyenas was the one we played the most. True Sons were the ones we played at the second story mission, I believe, and then some of the side missions, and then Black Tusk. So let me do the blurbs here. True Sons, a group of paramilitary warlords bent on using their combat expertise and overwhelming firepower to dominate their enemies and expand their territory. Smart and organized, the True Sons are led by a former JTF officer whose ruthlessness and combat prowess made his combatants a horrifying force. So he's not like the JTF. They're paramilitary. The Hyenas. This is the one we played the most of. A loosely organized gang of opportunistic raiders that prey on struggling civilian encampments through violence and intimidation. These hedonistic, that's a hell of a word, scavengers take everything they can steal and destroy everything else that deprive their enemies of valuable resources. The Hyenas are led by a council of the strongest pack leaders. So, like you're saying, you could feel the difference between that. You're like, they felt like they were just a ragtag group.
They were like feral almost.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones are more militaristic and disciplined. Where these guys were like psycho crazy.
They reminded me of like Tiny Tina.
Yeah, like the psychos from Borderlands. Yeah, I thought that too.
One of the factions we didn't see in the beta are the Outcasts, bitter survivors of a forced quarantine bent on revenge against those who brutally imprisoned them in society that stood by and let it happen. Their charismatic, bloodthirsty leader believes everyone is complicit and urges her followers to punish the guilty by spreading sickness and murdering indiscriminately. And then the endgame one, the Black Tusks, who are the big bad boys, a secretive private military organization that operates on an unknown agenda. They are disciplined and highly organized, and their unparalleled equipment makes them the biggest threat the division has ever faced. So I'm curious kind of how that's all going to play out. And I'm wondering, because you have control points in this game, I wonder if like eventually like it would be cool if other factions could take over down the road. Be like, okay, this was a hyena area, Black Tusk came in, or this is a hyena area, the Outcast came in, or they're probably going to be sectioned. I might be thinking too big here, but they're probably going to be sectioned to their own
that could be
thing.
Well, that could be interesting, like a different level of difficulty depending on who
owns
took
it.
that. Right, yeah.
And I wonder if Outcasts are part of the Outskirts expansion.
Maybe,
survivors.
Because that makes more sense.
That's where they would be. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for Division 2. I think they've done a lot of good with it. I think they've done a lot of improvements. I think they listened to what the community wanted from Division 1. And I like I said, I put probably 30 or 40 hours into the beta. So God knows I'll put hundreds of hours into the final game. And we will be streaming it, just so you guys know, March 12th, which is next Tuesday. We'll be streaming it live on twitch.tv/level2gamersstl. We'll be streaming that along with Overwatch. We haven't determined what's going to be a 12 or 24-hour live stream, but just watch, and if we're live, we're live. If we're not, we'll let you know. But that'll be a lot of fun to handle. Yeah, that's how we do things here. Tom's like, do you want to do this 24 hours? It's like, I don't care. Let's do it. I don't know if I can stay awake that long. But I will be playing a crap out of the Division. I'm off. Like I said, it comes out, if you bought it early, it comes out the 12th. I'm off the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th, I think. So I will be playing the crap out of the game, and I'm super excited about it. Do you have any last things you would like to say before I hit the outro here?
No, I think we got everything I wanted to say about it.
Cool. Yeah, so this has been the Shadecast, Episode 1, your Division podcast where you can get news, impressions, strats, and discussions. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/level2gaming. That's LEVELTWOGAMING. Did you like my rhythm to that one?
Yeah.
For more videos on The Division, as well as other games, like I said, Overwatch is a big push right now. But my name's Keegan, one half of Level 2 Gamers. Thank you so much, David, for hanging out with us as usual. And I'm sure you will be joining us on many Division live streams and video content down in the future. With this podcast, we're hoping to have a rotating set of, I'm going to call you characters, people that are going to come in and out. Because like I said, we've got a bunch of friends that are playing this game and kind of want to get different perspectives on it. But again, thank you guys so much for watching the Shadecast, Episode 1. And as always, welcome to the second level. Bye.
Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.